the Assistant Majority Whip for our caucus and represent the 23rd District here in Franklin County, and want to thank everyone for being here. This is a really important issue that I've heard from all corners of the state, and today we have dropped legislation to be able to deal with the recently enforced PUCO weight limits that have gone down from 26,000 pounds to 10,000 pounds on enforcement for trucks. And for anyone that may not realize it, that's basically a pickup truck with any kind of small trailer or any kind of a load in it. This has impacted our businesses across the state in ways totally unknown and unexpected. In my several meetings with the PUCO, I asked if there were safety studies to justify what they've done here. They indicated that there really are no indicators. If anything, there's less accidents in this category than what there were 5 years ago. So the legislation that State Rep Terry Boose and I are joint sponsoring really deals with bringing back the enforcement to those trucks that are 26,000 pounds and over. And the rules that the PUCO expanded upon from the federal government dealt only with hazmat carriers. So we are exempting all trucks by this legislation that are not hazmat carriers. And according to the Legislative Service Commission, the PUCO rules require more regulation on vehicles in this class than is required by the federal government. It's caused a huge outcry in many businesses, including those operating primarily with pickup-sized trucks, and it creates additional financial burdens on small businesses operating them. We've received estimates from small businesses that this would cost up to $7,000 additionally per vehicle for them to be able to comply with. And the PUCO has delayed enforcement and issuance of citations on these regulations until January 1, 2012. But again, based on doing business in Ohio and the new day that we have in Ohio, we want to have these repealed completely. And we feel that to do anything less is not really being respectful and understanding of the very difficult economic times that our small businesses are enduring right now, and no more burdens on what's going on. So very pleased to share that we also have bipartisan support on this bill, and we look for hopefully an expedient process, because again, I think that everyone understands that we don't need more burdensome regulations on the businesses of Ohio. And met with Governor Kasich's office last week, and they were amazed in the outcry that they heard on the campaign trail last year going throughout the state on this very, very unnecessary regulation that's being enforced by the PUCO effective January 1st, 2012. And at this time, I'd like to ask that Representative Terry Boose also share, who's joint sponsoring this bill, comments that he has heard on it as well.
Thank you, Representative Grossman. I'll be brief because it's a very simple bill. It's very simple in that PUCO has decided to go farther than the federal regulations. And in this economy that we're in today, and the business environment that Ohio has and has been having problems with, it's just unbelievable that we would put further restrictions on the small businesses. And these are both small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and large businesses. It's actually pretty much anybody that has a pickup truck as part of their business. Now there are some people that are that do not have to do it, and to be just to show you, prove one of the things where if it truly was a safety regulation, they wouldn't make this exemption. But all governments are exempt, you know. So it truly can't be a safety issue. If it was, government vehicles wouldn't be exempt. And it's kind of hard to explain, you know, it's just about everybody. Everybody I've talked to that owns a pickup had no idea this was coming. It was kindly thrown at them. And when they started figuring the possible extra labor that they were going to have to hire, and all the logging and the training, it's well documented that this is going to cost small businesses money when they just can't afford to do it now. It very simply could put people that are doing snow plowing, for instance, today, when we have all those people out snow plowing, it could put some of them out of business with the added expenses. And it's something that we can't afford, and something we need to put an end to. One thing I'd like to have further discussions with PUCO in the very near future is currently, even though they are not fining companies or giving warnings out, they are stopping businesses and doing the inspections. And we need to put this to a stop. You know, if they have suspended, any tickets or any serious offenses for this at this time, we need to put a stop to all of this. Anything that they're doing, it is affecting businesses, and we need to get it stopped now. Cheryl, back.
Thank you. Also, just to demonstrate on a personal basis, one of our local businesses, I have joining us today, Chuck Buck, who's the owner of Buck & Son Landscaping located in Hilliard. And I'd like for him to share with you his story.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you on this very cold morning. It's a pleasure for me to be able to find a parking space in the underground garage. I don't have to walk outside in the wind and the icy conditions. I found out about this regulation back in September when one of my trucks, my mowing truck and trailer was stopped on Route 23. And they brought back this list of citations, and I knew nothing about it. I try to keep up on things like that. I'm active in a lot of our state organizations. I also am a township trustee, so I know what government can do and is able to do. But nobody knew about it. I went to Hilliard Chief of Police, showed it to them. They had no idea what it was about. And so he suggested I call the State Highway Patrol, which I did, the Delaware branch of the patrol. And the sergeant there, very nice, very helpful. And he says, quite frankly, you're not the only one that doesn't know about this law or regulation. Nobody does. But he says we're stopping painters, electricians, utility people, anybody with a pickup truck and a trailer. And as Cheryl alluded to, it doesn't take much to get a pickup truck and a trailer over 10,000 GVW. And we did a spreadsheet on our business back right before I went on vacation, first part of January, which I guess my recommendation to all you, don't deal with some serious issue right before you're ready to go on vacation. But what I found was, to my surprise, I knew it was going to have a great impact on us, but with the 20 trucks that we would have to comply with and 27 additional staff, it would cost us approximately $192,000 a year to comply with the regulations. And in this environment, it's difficult enough to try to make payroll, do all the things you're supposed to do to operate your business, and this really isn't something we think is fair. All small businesses I'm aware of are all about safety, because if you don't operate with safe operations, you're going to be out of business anyway, because you can't get workers' comp, you can't get insurance, and all the other things. So we want to be safe, and we think we're operating in a safe manner. So my great thanks to Cheryl and the gentleman here that's also co-sponsoring the bill. And I know I speak for a lot of of small businesses in the state of Ohio, because I've been contacted by a lot of them. They're hopeful that we can go back to 2008 levels of enforcement. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Chuck. Any questions that we can answer for you today?
Have you heard from the PUCO as far as why they are instituting these rules that are greater than the federal version?
I've had several meetings with representatives of the PUCO, and we have Beth Trumbold here from that organization right now. And in our meetings, the discussion has been that it's been based on safety. But again, we pulled some records and can't verify that there's an increase in accidents or safety concerns in that regard. And the information we had pointed to less safety issues than what existed 5 years ago.
And is your understanding that the PUCO has no intention to voluntarily change the rules and that legislation is necessary?
In my meetings, PUCO has voted to delay enforcement of these rules until January 2012. Originally it was going to be January 2011. And they are hosting listing sessions around the state to have input from the many, many businesses that are being impacted by this legislation. They talked about exemptions on some categories But again, I can't justify enforcement of any of these rules for the class that we're talking about.
If I could just add to that, they have agreed to postpone the rules, but they are still stopping vehicles, still doing inspections, and holding small businesses up at this time.
And do you have a time frame as far as when you hope to get the bill enacted?
We have dropped the bill today, and it'll go through the process here in the House, and we've already received great support from the Senate. So I hope that it will be an expedited bill.
You have a sponsor in the Senate to carry it?
We have a couple, and I can't identify at this point in time because we haven't confirmed that.
Will this cost us any federal dollars?
No. No, there's $6 million that's received from the federal government that applies only to hazmat carriers. This will have no financial consequence at all without enforcing these additional rules. And I guess I would also use the term burdensome for our businesses here.
The only financial consequence right now is on businesses.
Anything else that we can answer? I think it's pretty obvious by looking around the room that there are many people that are here in attendance on very short notice on a very icy day in support of what we're trying to do with this legislation. And I would encourage the press, if you want to ask them questions as well as Mr. Buck, you'll understand the impact that we're talking about across the state. And I want to thank everyone for being here today. I'm very cognizant of ice outside, and this shows certainly your support of what we're trying to do with these truck regulations. Thank you very much.